Good evening, everyone. I'm Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. We begin with a story of high interest across the world. Today, President Obama calling on Syria's leader to step down. The leaders of France, Germany, and the United Kingdom are backing him. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton also announced new sanctions against Damascus.
For months, the world has borne witness to the Assad regime's contempt for its own people. In peaceful demonstrations across the nation, Syrians are demanding their universal human rights. The regime has answered their demands with empty promises and horrific violence.
An activist group claims more than 2,000 Syrians have been killed since the uprising began in March. Time for global news now. African Union troops have made a disturbing discovery in the Somali capital of Mogadishu. Soldiers uncovered a large bomb-making factory inside a former steel plant. Officials say militants were using the factory to build improvised explosive devices to use as roadside bombs. A series of attacks in southern Israel today left at least 6 people dead, more than 24 hurt. It started with an assault on a bus near the Egyptian border. This is video from that scene. An Israeli military force was also attacked. U.S. Vice President Joe Biden is in Beijing for a 5-day visit to China. He met with the president today. China is the largest foreign holder of U.S. debt with more than $1 trillion. Pope Benedict XVI is in Madrid, Spain on a 4-day visit to celebrate World Youth Day. Thousands of young Catholics from around the world line the streets and wave flags to greet the pontiff. But not everyone is happy with his arrival. Some Spaniards are angry over the high cost of the visit. It's estimated to be in the neighborhood of $70 million. It comes as Spain is reeling from a deep economic crisis with unemployment at nearly 21%. That's your global news now. Well, we know more tonight about that possible attack that was thwarted by Tampa, Florida police. A 17-year-old is accused of planning a Columbine-like massacre. Police say Jared Cano wanted to kill 32 people, including 2 principals. Principal Chris Farkas says the school is safe, but adds there will be extra security at that school over the next few days.
We still are going to have an increased security presence. Tampa Police Department have agreed to put some people here for our open house and for our first day of school, just to make people feel more safe.
Authorities say Cano didn't have any accomplices. He was expelled from Freedom High School nearly 2 years ago. Well, the 10-month drought in Texas is taking a big toll on the state. Texas has racked up $5.2 billion in agricultural losses. Livestock took the biggest hit. Other commodities hurt by the drought are cotton, hay, corn, and wheat. More than 90% of Texas is suffering from extreme or exceptional drought conditions. Wells Fargo is trying to tarnish your appeal for gold. That and which celebrity now faces foreclosure. Here's Ryan Bass with tonight's Back to Business.
Wells Fargo is warning clients about a possible gold bubble, saying investors should be wary of having substantial investment in the precious metal. The bank cautioned that with very little warning, the bottom can drop out on gold prices, citing a 30% drop within 6 months in 2008 and a 65% drop over a 2-year period in the 1980s. Sony is cutting the price of its PlayStation 3 by $50. The move is in an effort to boost sales of the 5-year-old system. You can now pick up the base model for $250. A system with twice the storage space will cost you $300. Sony's change is seen by analysts as a usual part of a game system's life cycle. Game console generations typically last 4 to 6 years. Burt Reynolds could lose his waterfront mansion in Florida after failing to make mortgage payments for almost a year. The lawsuit claims Reynolds has not made a mortgage on his home since August 2010, and he owes the bank nearly $1.2 million. The 75-year-old star has been trying to sell his home since 2005.
Although Reynolds once shared the home with his former wife, it's no longer his current residence. For Back to Business, I'm Ryan Bass.
The unemployment rate nationally is 9.1%, but at 12.4%, the state of Nevada is really struggling. Tonight, Shannon Moore from our Reno affiliate, KRXI, shows us how unemployment affects parents and children.
I don't want them to have to be homeless.
Mom of 3, Cynthia Reed, is out of work and struggling to make ends meet. With a 4th child on the way, food, shelter, and transportation for her family loom over her every day.
Just keeping those in line right now and making sure the power stays on.
But she's not alone. According to a report released by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, Nevada children living in poverty is up by 38% since the year 2000. Program manager for the Children's Cabinet, Marty Elquist, says the new report hardly surprises her and her agency staff.
It's happening to a lot of our families. We've been seeing it since the recession started.
It's an issue that experts say has immediate effects on the children.
A lot of kids in very low-income families that have a lot of disruption in their lives enter school where they're not quite ready to learn, and that does have an impact for the rest of their lives.
Reed had to pull her 4-year-old son out of the structured environment of daycare, creating new problems.
Now that he's in kindergarten, we're having behavioral problems with him because he's not into that routine, and it's all because I lost my job.
And like a domino effect, that child care center is now on the brink of closing as more and more parents pull their kids out. For now, the Reed family is running more on hope than money.
How are you getting by?
Faith, honestly, it's really, really hard. My husband's working to where he can't even see his kids or come to back to school night, and it's just ridiculous. But you got to do what you have to survive, and unfortunately, I feel the kids are suffering more for it.
Shannon Moore reporting for INN News.
Firefighters are giving up hope of finding a 6-year-old boy missing after this overnight apartment complex fire in San Antonio. They believe the child is probably buried in the rubble. They're also still trying to account for an elderly woman. More than 100 firefighters battled this massive blaze. It destroyed dozens of apartment units and did more than $3 million in damage. The cause still under investigation at this hour. Take a look at this. Major damage was done to a Missouri fire station after a fire truck crashed into it. You can see crews on the scene of the accident in downtown Kansas City. Huge chunks of concrete were scattered around the parking area. One large piece had to be removed from the top of the truck. A bulldozer was also used to help clear debris. No firefighters were hurt in the accident. By the way, that one's still under investigation. Some more incredible video out of Queens, New York. A sanitation truck crashed through the side of an industrial building. It was left dangling from the second floor. At least 4 cars parked below were severely damaged. Officials say the crash happened when the driver lost control of that truck. Well, up next, the dangers lurking in water, another amoeba death, and the illnesses mosquitoes are causing. These are stories everyone should see. And the key to getting the computer that's best for you. Dee Armstrong is back with another fix for us. And a man who has many ladies feeling pretty tainted. He's getting his, a punishment for possibly the world's worst boyfriend. Coming up on INN.